The address is MikeDiamond.com, or just call us at 1-800-446-MIKE. Contractor's license number 399170.
Okay, this is like some 70s Webcore 1261, I think it is, pocket radio. No schematic available on this. Probably came with it on the box or on the instructions or something barely readable. But anyway, a little AM FM portable radio, and it's been recapped. This is one of the first pocket radios I worked on anyway. It's developed kind of a unique but common problem, which is low gain, and the AM does some interesting stuff. Let me turn it on here and I'll show you.
Unless you own a bank, the cheapest money available is a...
That's FM, and it would appear it's working okay, but it's really the sensitivity, it's really deaf. You got to keep in mind I live in the Los Angeles urban environment where we're surrounded by 50 kilowatt FM stations and AM, so it's really hard for me to get an accurate test, but I've had this out in the bush before and the performance is just nothing. So let me show you what the AM does.
7-890 cash and beat the Fed.
How do you answer critics who say that sounds like...
Because timeshares don't sell. It's a complex process.
Really deaf. So you can see it gets KNX.
And forever is timeshare exiting. That's right. You'll sit down face to face with your own personal advisor to review your contract and determine your options.
And on eBay, this would be listed as mint condition, in perfect factory working condition. But again, in the city, it comes across that way. But when you work on as many of these radios as I do, you kind of get a feel for something that's deaf, and this thing is deaf. So.
Or online.
The other thing is we put it on FM. Okay. Turn the volume all the way up and go to a non-station. There should be hiss. There really is nothing. So, there should be static. So again, what I'm doing is I'm using the signal tracer, and I was kind of probing through the IF, and I was looking for one of the stages that perhaps didn't have any gain, because the front end is definitely working because it's picking up stations, but it's like the IF is dead because both the AM and FM are deaf, and the AM is doing that weird squealing thing. The layout of this is pretty self-explanatory. You have these crappy domed transistors, which I suspect of being bad, and so that would be the FMRF, FM oscillator, and then stacked IF. So this would be first FMRF, first FMIF, I'm sorry, second FMIF, and then here are your detector diodes down here for the FM. And then the red right here, this is your AM converter or oscillator mixer combination. First AM-IF, and then down here is your little AM detector diode. So one AM-IF stage, two FM-IF stages. So not a high-end radio, but it should definitely work, and it's not working the way it is. So I'll show you what I was doing with the signal tracer. So we're going to get some noise here because I got the signal generator cranked up all the way, which is super sensitive, and it's so sensitive it just picks up the camera. So when I bring the camera close to the probe, you're going to get this high-pitched noise. But what I'm going to do, hear that? What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, I'm on FM, I got it on a very strong station.
Butterfinger peanut butter cup. It's a bit of a square, which is not the same.
Okay, volume all the way down. And this right here is the IF transformer between the oscillator and the first IF stage. This right here, this area is the first IF transistor, then the second IF transformer. So we'll start here. I believe this is the base. Okay, you could just barely hear anything there. Okay, so you can hear there it's a little bit louder. Now I'll go down here. So there's hardly any gain in this transistor at all. I'll go down here to the second IF transformer, and it comes out right here. And you could just barely hear there's anything going into that transistor. Just barely hear it. But then coming out of that transistor, so you can hear there's essentially no gain in this transistor, hardly anything, and then there's a massive amount of gain in this transistor. So being is that the AM and FM are dead, the logical conclusion is that it's the first IF transistor anyway, because the AM doesn't use the second one. So I'm going to pull that out and we'll sub something in there. Well, this is interesting. The transistor is out and it works about the same, which that's encouraging, because that would just kind of indicate that maybe the RF is leaking around the transistor somewhere, and the transistor is in fact dead. I've been measuring the voltages here and I don't see a bias voltage, so I don't know if these have a half a volt DC bias on them or they're just biased by the RF. I got to play with it. I did test that. It tests okay, but that doesn't mean anything. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on AM and try sticking a transistor in there and rotating it around, because I have no idea what's base, emitter, and collector. That's the only thing I can really do. Okay, I'm on FM. I'm up on the non-station. I got the transistor. I've rotated it around and flipped the leads around until I found the configuration that works, which yeah, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch this against here and listen to the static come in. And the AM does the same thing. So that's it. Let's get it soldered in. Actually, I'm going to try a couple different transistors and see if one gives me more gain than another, because I just grabbed that one. It's a little Motorola. I don't know. It has some numbers on it. 433-1M936. Who even knows what it is? I just grabbed one out of here. Okay, so you can see now we have a massive amount of gain across this transistor. And going in here, turn this up. So now we got such a massive amount of gain across that transistor that the thing just overloads. And that's what you should see. You should see on the base, you should see a small signal, and then on the collector on an NPN transistor, you should see a big signal. That's the amplification. So this thing is woken right up.
In her emails, former FBI Assistant Director Bill Gavin says Clinton was interviewed yesterday for 3.5 hours.
Reports that the Utah Jazz are trading Trey Burke to the Washington Wizards. We'll return to the committee. Any of those questions. Plans to make his decision. Why he's 75. Gary Johnson says this will all be wrapped up eventually. I'm not a stone thrower when it comes to...
Alright, I think they should call her the Teflon Tampon President. Now this stupid thing fell apart when I was working on it. That's what's cutting on and off. What you can do is you can just take a battery apart, a dead battery, and take the thing out of there and solder the tabs right onto the back of it. But I might have a few of these. I'd like to replace it, and I'd also like to replace that 10 microfarad and what is it? A Jificon? JNMICON. John, whatever. You know how I can tell it's hot now? Antenna is down and it's getting these stations.
Starting at just 2.
Needs an alignment though, because I screwed with the alignment with the transistor dead, so everything is shifted way off.
Things that truly matter in life and the afterlife. Kevin Durant. Jesus.
So there you go. That's a little time waster project again. I've done video after video after video repairing radios that had this transistor style package in it, this early silicon transistor with the domed top. Beware of these things. They are junk. I have another video where I fixed a cheesy AM only radio like this, and it was this thing in the IF. So these early silicon style with the dome epoxy top. And of course these style, the newer style, are much better. I don't see these go bad.
Stop loving her today. They placed a wreath upon his door, and soon they'll carry him away.
Oh, by the way, this thing tested just fine on the diode check and the transistor tester. So once again, sometimes substitution is the best method of testing. If I'd pulled that out and tested it, I would not have condemned it. But it's probably got some leakage or something in it, very minimal, that won't allow it to work at higher frequencies.